Hi, this is Sarah Mikesell with the Poultry site, and today we're here with Dr. Aldo Rossi at Amlin International. Thanks for being with me today, Aldo.
Oh, thank you for having me.
It's great to see you again. We just saw
Yes,
each other in the dairy world not too long ago, so it's nice
yes.
to be with you in our poultry world. And I should mention that Aldo and I are at IPPE in a very chilly Atlanta, Georgia. We can say this time, right?
Yeah, lucky to be here with all
Yeah,
the weather.
exactly. A lot, a lot. So, Dr. Rossi, why has feed efficiency become the primary front line for protecting profitability in today's poultry operations?
Well, I think there's several factors. One of them, of course, just like we all experience even on a normal life, things cost more,
Yeah.
right? And so as those input costs increase, and as narrow as the profit margin is in the poultry industry generally,
Right.
you really start to need looking at how do you optimize some of these things like feed efficiency. Let's say in addition, feed does cost about 70% of what it costs to
Right.
produce a pound of meat or a kilogram of meat. And so again, that's a high cost, high input. And so anything you can do to shave some of those things that reduce that profitability, reduce that fine margin,
Right.
it can make a big difference. Also, I've heard this said more than one time. Anything times a million is a lot,
Right.
and most operations will be killing a million birds, slaughtering a million birds per week or more.
Right.
And so again, anything times a million is a big number.
Right. And you think about it per week, that's a lot, right?
Oh yes, absolutely. And again, that's kind of the average size. You got some
Right.
some complexes that can do 2 or 3 times that.
Right. And we think about some producers are down to they're managing to the thousandth of the penny, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And again, that's why feed efficiency, optimizing feed efficiency, optimizing the cost you're putting into your feed is important.
Excellent. And many flocks appear healthy on the surface, yet still experience performance losses. How does subclinical disease, pathogenic bacteria, and biotoxins quietly undermine feed efficiency and margins in commercial production systems?
Yeah. So with any disease, if it's classic clinical signs, high mortality, birds not looking good, you might even recognize some water volume being amount of the amount of water that they're drinking, the volume may decrease when they're not feeling good. Those are the obvious signs.
Right.
And okay, this flock is sick, or these chickens on this farm are sick, and then you react to it. It's the ones that just have these small little increments of decrease in maybe
Right.
livability or small decrease in feed conversion or feed efficiency, and you don't really capture. You might even say, well, it's so small, maybe it's just a play in variability.
Right.
It could be cyclical weather conditions. So you can have other excuses, right? You kind
Right.
of say, well, it's not really a disease. But especially with necrotic enteritis, unfortunately, when you start talking about bacterial enteritis type scenarios where you're slowly eroding that barrier, the integrity of the gut starts to degrade, and you start having leakage of some of these toxins, which just cause enough leakage both into the gut
Right.
and from the gut into the body. And maybe in most cases, the bird's immune system, healthy birds, good management, again, you may not physically see anything, but they're spending enough energy
Right.
to manage that challenge that's taken away from your cost of feed.
Interesting. Interesting. Very good. Why do some conventional nutritional or management approaches fall short when birds are under real world disease and stress pressure?
Yeah, there's several reasons. I mean, obviously, as with anything, execution is important, right? So
Right.
whether it's execution of a management strategy you may have, execution of a feed program you may have. And what I mean by that is you got to get the raw ingredients in, you got to mix it
Right.
correctly, you got to get to the right farm, then you got to get to the chickens, and they got to consume enough to be
Yeah.
effective. So that's part of the role, but then also things like, especially when you look at a bacterial enteritis type scenario, antibiotic growth hormones were very commonly used for many decades in the industry. I used them many times in my career
Right.
and working in the poultry industry. Whether it's the antibiotic-free type programs, NAEs, ABFs, or even if you're using some of these antibiotics, those products start to erode in efficacy, right? I mean, you
Right.
start having slight resistance, maybe full resistance, right? So some of these different little factors may start affecting how these management strategies really are being effective against some diseases like necrotic enteritis.
Interesting. Very good. Varium is positioned as a solution that performs under commercial conditions, not just ideal ones. What does the research tell us about how protecting gut integrity supports more consistent feed conversion and nutrient utilization?
Yeah, so, I would say that with our research development team here at Amlin International, they were looking to develop a product that would do a little bit more than, let's just say, like an antibiotic. Right? Antibiotics are, without issues with resistance, are very effective in killing or reducing bacteria. Depending on the antibiotic, you can have a more broad spectrum approach. So you might be killing the pathogenic bacteria, but you also might be affecting the population of the beneficial bacteria, right? But in either case, that's all they do, and some of them are very effective at doing that. So the product we were looking at is what would be a non-antibiotic version of that, so something that's more natural, but that has a more holistic approach to gut health, gut integrity. The gut is constantly being bombarded, whether it's bacteria, parasites, viruses, maybe even some feed ingredients, attacking those cells, causing some cells to die and having to be repaired and replaced. And so that happens even in a healthy chicken. Right. We don't grow our chickens in a sterile environment. So those things are toxins that come into the feeds. Mycotoxins, toxins that are released by bacteria. So these things are constantly attacking these cells. So we were looking for an approach, again, that's more holistic than just affecting the bacteria, but is also helping with the gut overall holistic approach to optimizing gut health. And so Varium has 3 different ingredients in it. One of them is our clay. It's our base clay. Very effective at binding the endo and exotoxins that are produced by bacteria, including one like E. coli, like Clostridium perfringens. It also, we have the clay go through a thermal processing, and what that does, and it's so critical at being able to change the surface chemistry of that clay. So now it's able to actually bind not only these toxins, as I mentioned, but also bind the fimbria of pathogenic bacteria, E. coli, Clostridium. What's unique about that chemistry, though, is that the lactobacillus, so beneficial bacteria in the gut, it also has a fimbria as well, but the way it attaches, the fimbria it uses, does not attach to our clay. So it's it's very unique to that strain, to that genus of bacteria. So we've seen in our studies, which we have a decade plus of research, to show that we can bind these pathogenic bacteria, reduce that load in the gut, but then allow the lactobacillus, the beneficial bacteria, to come into balance, because now they don't have that competition. So almost like a competitive exclusion. The other ingredient in the product provides an energy source to the cells of the intestinal lining. As I mentioned, they're constantly being attacked, toxins, bacteria, viruses, etc. And so what this energy source does is allows these cells to take and absorb this energy source quickly and utilize it quickly. And we have data to show both numerically as well as physically, looking under a microscope, showing that we can improve the thickness and the health of that gut lining, the cell lining.
Very good. I love hearing you guys talk about your clay because it's fascinating to me how it works and how it binds things. I've seen and learned a lot about it over the years, and it's just fascinating to me because it is unique.
It is, and that's the other thing I'll mention is that not all clays are the same.
Right.
And not all clays can go through a thermal process. Ours can because of its structure.
Right.
And so even though we do remove some moisture from it, the layers don't collapse. They still maintain a high surface area for binding of these things we talked about.
And your processing is proprietary as well, right?
Absolutely. There's a certain time and a certain temperature that's needed to be able to optimize that surface chemistry. And so if you don't do it enough, the surface chemistry doesn't change that much, so it's very hydrophilic. If you go too much, now it turns into something that it doesn't bind anything at all. So it's a science. Again, 85 years worth of science and technology was developed by our company. So
very good, excellent. Our last question here is, when gut health is compromised, energy is often diverted away from growth. Can you explain how maintaining intestinal integrity and immune resilience translate directly into stronger returns on feed investment?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you look at the intestine, the whole intestinal system, it's the largest immune organ in the body, right? And any immune response to any challenges does take a lot of energy, a lot of science behind that, showing that when you're challenged, whether you have inflammation or a direct disease challenge, the body's spending a lot of energy to fix that, to correct that, to reverse it.
Right.
And so anything we can do to help minimize that challenge and continue to maintain that integrity of that gut, better off you're going to have on nutrient absorption.
Right.
You'll minimize leakage, both of plasma proteins coming from the body into the gut, or vice versa, where you have bacteria or other toxins or mycotoxins going from the gut into the body, going systemic, and now starting to affect several different organs.
Right.
Of course, then now you're starting to talk about affecting performance, affecting health, affecting welfare.
Fantastic. Great. Well, hey, Aldo, very informative. Thank you so much for all the information. I really appreciate it. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
Yeah, so if there's anyone interested in trialing our product, I'd love for them to contact us. We work with customers all over the world with trials in different species, and we'd be very interested to work with anyone who has an interest in our product. Also, please go visit our website. There's a lot of information in there, a lot of our research information. There's videos. I'm a very visual person, so I like to see things as well as to read them, but it's been very well designed and has a lot of information, so please visit that as well.
Fantastic. Well, hey, thank you so much for all the information today.
Oh, thank you for having us, and I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about our products.
Yeah, it's always a good time, Aldo. This is Sarah Mikesell with the Poultry Site.